All right, for more on that story, we're now joined in the studio by SABC News reporter Nosipo Mngube. Thanks so much indeed for joining us. It seems that there's a lot of unrest across campuses, TVET colleges across the country we've seen over the last few days and weeks. A lot of it to do with NSFAS funding. What's at the heart of the issue at Wits University?
So Wits University, the issues are really centered around accommodation. The SRC Deputy President spoke to me earlier today and she said since the beginning of the academic year, some students have not been allocated accommodation, and this is whether they're waiting for their NSFAS criteria or they simply cannot afford it at all. And they've had to sleep, in the libraries or rely on squatting with friends, for example, or sleeping in the labs, what we call labs, which are some of the lecture rooms, since the start of the academic year. So that's really what the protest today was centered around.
And what do we know about this NSFAS funding delay? Is there a delay? Has NSFAS, the body itself, been able to explain why funds haven't been allocated?
We would actually have to find out from NSFAS, because NSFAS as an organization has, their different branches in the institutions. So we'd have to find out from NSFAS looking into Wits what the issue is there, because recently I did a story similar in UJ where they also said they weren't allocated funds, and they had said that, there was an issue with one of the modules or the courses that they were doing, miscommunication between themselves as the institution as well as students as to what the way is going forward. So we'd have to find out from NSFAS as well. It could be a situation where, like you've already mentioned, these students did fail their courses over the past few years and have now been rejected for receiving funding.
So I suppose that's the position that the university is taking. How have they been able to explain some of what's happening?
So I spoke to the Dean of Student Affairs, Jerome September, who said to me that they've already allocated about 17 million rands to accommodation. They started off at 10 million rands, and the SRC then said, they need to increase that, and then we increased that by 7 million to 17 million rand. And they also say that they have been able to find other places to accommodate students in and around the Bloemfontein area where the institution is. So they've allocated funds. They've also tried to find more buildings in which they can allocate their students. Some of the grievances that they addressed by the SRC is that there are vacant places within the institution that students can be staying in, and the institution did say they are available, but they will be made available to students that are deserving of them, that are passing well, and that have applied and taken the necessary steps to get those accommodation.
All right, so the tricky issue now is, if you fail a certain number of times, it's a standard practice across educational institutions. You get a pink slip, I think, if I remember correctly, and then you get excluded. So there's a number of these students who, because they're not passing, have been excluded, but are still trying to get into the university. Is that the challenge? That
is the challenge. Jerome did mention that is quite a huge challenge they're facing. In fact, today at the protest, he said quite a large number of the students that were there were excluded because of their results. And some of the ones that I actually did speak to, I said to them, why are you here? What are the issues that you're facing? And they said to me, they're actually not part of the protest. They were pulled out of their lectures to join, everyone else in trying to mobilize students and, get the attention of the management. Right. So we can't even figure out the exact number, because SRC says 400 to 500 students are not accommodated. But within that number of people that were protesting today, it was not more than about 200 students there. So we're just trying to also figure out the exact number of people, as well as what the issue is, whether it's NSFAS or whether they're really struggling to come up with the fees, and what the financial background is, what the circumstances are as well.
All right. Does it look like it's going to find a resolution? Are the students still there?
The students had left by about 12 midday, and that's mostly because they were struggling to try and mobilize more students. By the time they went back from the education campus to the main campus in Bloemfontein, they were met with a lot of, reluctance from students who were saying that we are going to continue with our lectures and we're not going to leave these lecture rooms. And I think it just fizzled out after that, because they were not met by people that were willing to join them in the protest. So we will be seeing seeing what happens tomorrow and going forward into the week, and whether the university will be able to sit down with the SRC and just try and figure out the way going forward.
Has the SRC said anything about these exclusions?
The SRC has not said anything about these exclusions. In fact, I only learnt of them when I spoke to Wits management.
Right.
So SRC gave me the impression that, you know, these people are being excluded because of whatever reason, and
lack of funds.
you know, exactly, and Wits is not willing to assist them. So I will have to go back, you know, and just try and find out from SRC whether they do know what Wits has told us and what their response is to what Wits has said.
Nozipa, thanks very much indeed for watching this story for us and giving us an update. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
All right, we'll keep you up to date with that story. As I said, students are protesting at Wits University, demanding free accommodation, but a large number of those, it seems, have been excluded because of academic failure. So we'll have to give you more as we investigate that story.